Distraction is death, not just on the battlefield, but in life. Every time your focus breaks, your discipline weakens. Every time you chase comfort, your path fades. The samurai understood this. He trained for clarity, for presence, for the one perfect moment, and so must you. In this lesson, I will show you how to forge your focus in fire. Until no temptation can touch you, no doubt can shake you. Subscribe to our channel if you're ready to master your mind, and tell us, where are you watching from? In all my years of battle, I have seen more warriors fall to their wandering minds than to enemy blades. You think you understand focus, but you know nothing. You sit there, phone in hand, notifications chirping like hungry birds, and you wonder why victory eludes you, why success seems to mock you from a distance. Listen closely. Distraction is not merely a nuisance, it is death. Death of your dreams, death of your potential, death of everything you could become. I have killed men who were stronger than me, faster than me, better armed than me, but they died because their minds scattered at the crucial moment. One thought about their families, another worried about his stance, a third remembered an argument from that morning. And in that split second of divided attention, my blade found its mark. You live in an age of infinite distraction. Your world conspires to fragment your attention, to scatter your force across 1,000 trivial concerns. Every ping, every alert, every notification is a small death of your focus. Each time you switch between tasks, you bleed mental energy. Each time you respond to the world's constant demands, you surrender your power. The average person's mind is like a dull blade that cannot cut through paper. They start their day reaching for their phone, drowning in information before their feet touch the ground. They work with email open, messages flowing, social media lurking in another tab. They end their day the same way, scattered, depleted, having accomplished nothing of true significance. This is not living. This is dying by 1,000 cuts. True power, true mastery, begins when you understand this. Your attention is your life force. It is the energy that transforms thought into reality. When you scatter it, you scatter your very essence across the winds. But when you focus it, you become unstoppable. I once spent 3 years practicing a single sword strike. 3 years on one movement, while others mocked my waste of time. But in those 3 years, I learned more than just a technique. I learned that sustained, singular focus is the difference between the master and the mediocre. Your first task, if you seek mastery, is to become painfully aware of your distractions. Notice how often your mind wanders. Notice how frequently you interrupt yourself. Notice the 1,000 tiny surrenders you make each day to the gods of distraction. This awareness will disturb you. Good. Let it disturb you. Let it anger you. Because only when you truly see the extent of your scattered existence can you begin to forge something stronger. Remember, in the moment of combat, whether with sword or with life, there's no room for divided attention. There is no space for scattered thoughts. There is only the perfect unity of mind, body, and purpose. This is what you must train for. This is what you must become. The path begins here. Choose one thing, one target, one goal, and cut away everything that pulls you from that path. Be ruthless, be absolute, because your life force is finite, and every moment spent in distraction is a moment closer to death. You seek to master many things. This is your first mistake. Your mind spreads like water across flat ground, a finger's depth, reaching everywhere, penetrating nowhere. This is the way of weakness. This is the path of eternal mediocrity. I have walked the path of the sword, not 10 paths, not 5 paths, one path. When others practiced elaborate techniques, I refined the simple cut. When others collected weapons, I focused on one blade. When others sought to master every school of combat, I sought to master myself. Listen well. In this one choice lies the secret of all mastery. The human mind was not built for division. It was built for deep, singular focus. When you try to walk multiple paths, you honor none of them. You become like a bird that cannot decide which branch to land on, and so remains forever in flight, exhausting itself until it falls. You think your modern way is superior, multitasking, juggling many projects, wearing your busyness like a badge of honor. But I see only weakness. I see only the scattering of force. Would you try to cut down a mighty oak by making 1,000 shallow cuts around its circumference? Or would you choose one spot and strike there again and again with full force until the tree falls? The path of mastery is the path of elimination. It is not about adding more. It is about cutting away everything that is not essential. When I began my study of strategy, I studied everything, every weapon, every technique, every school of thought. But mastery began only when I started eliminating, when I focused on what was essential and discarded everything else. Your mind is like a blade. You can either keep it sharp through singular focus, or you can dull it by striking against too many surfaces. Every time you switch between tasks, every time you divide your attention, you chip away at your edge. Here's what you must do. Choose your path. Make it singular. Make it clear. If it is business, then let it consume you. If it is art, then let it possess you. If it is knowledge, then let it become you. But choose. The choice itself matters less than the commitment to that choice. Once you have chosen, build walls around your practice. These walls are not prison walls. They are the walls of a temple. They exist to keep the sacred in and the profane out. Every distraction, every competing interest, every what-if that pulls you from your chosen path, these are enemies to be eliminated. The warrior who masters one technique will defeat the warrior who half knows 1,000. The artist who pursues one vision will create work that endures, while the dabbler's work fades like morning mist. The businessman who focuses on one market will build an empire, while the one chasing every opportunity builds nothing. You fear this commitment. You fear missing out. You fear choosing wrong. But understand this, the power that comes from walking one path fully is greater than any opportunity you might miss. The depth that comes from singular focus will reveal universes within what appears simple to others. I did not become a master of the sword by studying everything about combat. I became a master by studying everything about myself through the lens of the sword. This is the secret. One path followed to its end will teach you everything you need to know about all paths. Choose now. Choose clearly. Then cut away everything else. This is the beginning of power. There is a state of mind that the samurai knows, a void of perfect clarity where thought and action become one. You cannot understand this state through words alone. You must experience it. But first, you must learn to empty yourself. Your mind is like a cup overflowing with muddy water. Thoughts, emotions, desires, fears, all churning together, making it impossible to see clearly. You cannot add clarity to this cup. You must first empty it. This is what you do not understand about power. It does not come from filling yourself with more. It comes from creating space within. The sword cut is most powerful not because of what is there, but because of what is not there. The space between, this is where power lives. I spent years learning to empty my mind before battle, not to think nothing, but to hold a state of pure awareness without attachment. This is different from your modern idea of focus, where you grip your attention like a fist around a sword. True focus is more like water, clear, responsive, without resistance. Begin here. Sit in silence for 1 hour each day. Not with music, not with guided meditation, not with any technique or method, just silence. At first, your mind will rage against this emptiness. It will fill the void with thoughts, plans, memories, fears. Let them come. Let them go. Do not fight them. Do not follow them. Watch how your mind tries to escape silence. Watch how it invents emergencies, remembered tasks, brilliant ideas, anything to avoid the void. This is your first lesson in seeing yourself clearly. The untrained mind fears emptiness like nature abhors a vacuum. But the warrior knows that emptiness is the source of all power. When you empty your cup of all preferences, you can respond to what is, not what you wish was there. When you empty your mind of preconceptions, you can see reality without distortion. In a battle, this emptiness becomes supreme advantage. While others are full of thoughts about winning or losing, about technique or strategy, about life or death, I remain empty, and in that emptiness, I see everything. I respond to everything. I become everything. Your modern world fears silence. It fills every moment with noise, every space with content, every pause with distraction. This is weakness, masquerading as vitality. True power lies in your ability to be still, to be empty, to be complete in your incompleteness. The practice is simple, but few have the courage for it. Reduce external input, turn off the noise, put away the phone, step away from the endless stream of information. Create spaces of emptiness in your day, moments where you simply exist without input, without output, without purpose. At first, this will feel like death to your ego. Good. Let it die. What remains after this death is your true power, the ability to see clearly, to act decisively, to move without the burden of self. Remember, the sword does not think about cutting. The arrow does not worry about hitting its target. The warrior does not wonder about victory. All are empty of thought, full of purpose. This emptiness is not a blank void. It is not unconsciousness. It is supreme consciousness. Awareness without attachment, attention without tension, power without effort. Begin now. Empty your cup. Create silence. Let the chaos of your mind settle like muddy water, revealing the clarity that was always there. This is the art of emptiness, and it is the foundation of all power. You fear solitude. I see it in how you reach for your phone the moment you are alone. I see it in how you fill every silence with noise, every space with distraction. But understand this, the greatest battles are won in solitude, long before any sword is drawn. I spent 7 years in isolation, moving from province to province, seeking masters to challenge. But the real training happened in the spaces between, in mountain temples, in forest clearings, in abandoned shrines. There, in perfect solitude, I forged the foundation of my art. This is what most warriors never understand. Strength built in the presence of others is always incomplete. It is contaminated by their expectations, diluted by their influence, weakened by their presence. True power, power that cannot be shaken, must be forged in solitude. Your first task is to make peace with being alone, not the fake solitude of working from home while connected to the world through screens. Real solitude, complete disconnection, total self-reliance. Start small. 1 hour each day of complete solitude. No phone, no music, no books, no distractions, just you and your thoughts. At first, this will feel like torture. Your mind will rebel. Your body will find 1,000 reasons to move, to fidget, to escape. This resistance is your first enemy. Welcome it. It shows you where you are weak. In solitude, you will meet yourself, perhaps for the first time. You will see your fears without distraction. You will face your weaknesses without excuse. You will encounter your true strength without validation from others. This is necessary. This is vital. This is the forge of true power. During my years of wandering, I learned that the warrior who cannot be alone cannot be strong. Every dependency is a weakness. Every need for external validation is a chain that binds you. Every inability to face yourself in silence is a gap in your armor that will be exploited. The practice deepens. Extend your periods of solitude. 1 hour becomes 3, 3 becomes a day. A day becomes a week. With each extension, your inner strength grows. Your need for external validation diminishes. Your power becomes more concentrated, more refined, more completely your own. In solitude, learn to be your own teacher. Learn to correct your own mistakes. Learn to motivate yourself without external pressure. Learn to find peace in your own company. These are not mere philosophical ideals, they are practical necessities for anyone seeking mastery. Your modern world makes this difficult. It conspires against solitude. It sells you the idea that constant connection is strength, that constant validation is necessary, that constant noise is normal. This is the propaganda of weakness. The truth is simpler. Every great insight, every breakthrough, every leap in skill, these come in moments of solitude. The sword cut that won me, my greatest victory, was not discovered in combat. It was found in the quiet hours before dawn, practicing alone when no one was watching. Even now, in your world of endless connection, the principle remains: the warrior who masters solitude masters himself, and the warrior who masters himself masters all things. Begin today. Find your solitude. Guard it fiercely. Let it forge you into something stronger than you are now. Let it reveal the power that has always been within you, waiting for the silence necessary to emerge. Your eyes deceive you. Your mind lies to you. Every day you move through a world of illusions, mistaking shadows for substance, confusing movement for progress, accepting appearance for reality. This is why you fail. This is why you remain weak. Have killed many warriors who appeared strong. Their armor was polished, their stance was perfect, their reputation was fearsome. But I saw through these illusions. I saw their true weakness, the hesitation in their eyes, the tension in their shoulders, the doubt in their heart. While others were fooled by the surface, I cut straight to the truth. This is the first principle of seeing clearly. Everything that appears strong is not. Everything that appears weak is not. Your task is to train your mind to pierce through appearances and perceive what truly is. Your modern world is built on illusions. Social media profiles presenting perfect lives. Companies promising instant success. Gurus selling shortcuts to mastery. These are all mirages, designed to keep you chasing shadows while real power eludes you. Let me teach you how to see through these deceptions. First, you must understand that your own mind is the source of most illusions. You see what you want to see. You believe what you want to believe. Your preferences, your fears, your desires, these all distort your perception, like a curved blade reflects a twisted image. I spent years training my eyes to see only what was there, not what I hoped was there or feared was there. In battle, this meant the difference between life and death. In your world, it means the difference between wasting years chasing phantoms and focusing your energy on what truly matters. The practice begins with physical sight. Sit in one place and observe your surroundings. Don't label what you see. Don't judge what you see. Don't think about what you see. Just see. Notice how your mind rushes to categorize, to analyze, to compare. This mental chatter is the first layer of illusion. Go deeper. Watch how your emotions color your perception. When you see someone successful, notice the envy that tints your vision. When you see someone failing, notice the superiority that clouds your judgment. When you look at your own life, notice the fear that distorts your view of reality. In combat, I learned that the warrior who fights his own projections will always lose. If you see your opponent as invincible, you have already been defeated. If you see them as beneath you, you have already lost. True vision comes when you can see without the filter of your own thoughts and emotions. This clarity extends beyond combat. In business, can you see the true strength of a competitor beyond their marketing? In relationships, can you see the true intentions of others beyond their words? In your own life, can you see your true position beyond your ego stories? The advanced practice is this: question everything you think you know. What you call knowledge is often just accumulated assumptions. What you call understanding is often just comfortable illusion. What you call reality is often just consensus, hallucination. I once fought a master who was famous for a particular technique. Everyone feared this technique. Everyone trained to defend against it. But when I faced him, I saw through the illusion of his reputation. I saw that his technique was just movement, his mastery just practice, his power just perception. In seeing through these layers of illusion, I found the simple truth, and in that truth, I found victory. Here is your task. Begin to notice the illusions that govern your life. The illusion of needing others' approval, the illusion of perfect timing, the illusion of readiness, the illusion of limitation. Each time you identify an illusion, you weaken its power over you. Remember, the mind that sees clearly cannot be deceived. The warrior who perceives truth cannot be defeated. The person who walks free of illusion cannot be controlled. Start now. Open your eyes, not wider, but deeper. See through the layers of deception, both external and internal. What remains when illusion falls away is the only thing worth building your life upon. Your preferences are chains that bind you. Your likes and dislikes are walls that limit you. Your comfort zones are prisons that confine you. To achieve true power, you must first break free of these self-imposed restrictions. I have watched warriors fall because they preferred fighting at night. I have seen masters fail because they liked using certain techniques. I have witnessed experts crumble because they were attached to specific conditions. Their preferences became their weaknesses, and their weaknesses became their downfall. Understand this deeply. Every preference is a potential point of failure. Every attachment is a handle by which fate can grab you. Every comfort zone is a cage that will eventually become your tomb. The way of the warrior is the way of no preference. Hot or cold, it matters not. Victory or defeat, it changes nothing. Praise or criticism, both are empty wind. When you truly grasp this, you become impossible to manipulate, impossible to predict, impossible to defeat. Your modern life is built on preferences. You prefer certain foods, certain weather, certain people, certain conditions for work. Each preference is a string pulling you this way and that, making you dance like a puppet to the whims of circumstance. You think these preferences make you who you are. I tell you they make you weak. Here is how to break free. First, identify your preferences. All of them. The small ones and the large ones. The conscious ones and the unconscious ones. Make a practice of noticing every time you say, I like or I don't like. These are signposts pointing to your chains. Then systematically destroy these preferences. If you prefer working in silence, work in noise. If you prefer comfort, seek discomfort. If you prefer praise, welcome criticism. If you prefer strength, explore weakness. This is not about making yourself miserable. It is about making yourself free. I trained myself to sleep on stone as comfortably as on silk, to eat simple rice with the same gratitude as a feast, to fight in rain or shine, day or night, sick or healthy. Not because I sought hardship, but because I sought freedom from the tyranny of preference. Your ego will resist this teaching. It will say, but my preferences make me unique. My tastes make me sophisticated. My standards make me excellent. This is the voice of weakness, justifying its chains. True excellence comes from the ability to operate at peak performance regardless of conditions. The deeper practice is this. Learn to find comfort in discomfort. Learn to find peace in chaos. Learn to find strength in vulnerability. When you can do this, you have begun to understand true power. In battle, the warrior without preferences is unstoppable. They can fight with any weapon, in any terrain, against any opponent. They adapt like water flowing around rocks, taking the shape of whatever container holds them while maintaining their essential nature. In your world, this principle is even more vital. Markets change, technologies evolve, circumstances shift. The person bound by preferences will always be playing catch-up, always be resistant to necessary change, always be vulnerable to disruption. This extends beyond the physical and practical. Learn to hold your very thoughts and beliefs without preference. Be ready to discard any idea, no matter how cherished, if reality proves it false. Be willing to embrace any truth, no matter how uncomfortable, if evidence supports it. I once fought a master who had spent 30 years perfecting a particular stance. This stance was his pride, his signature, his preference. I defeated him by simply refusing to engage with his preferred fighting style. His mastery became his limitation. His preference became his prison. Begin this practice today. Identify one preference that limits you. It could be as simple as your preferred working hours or as complex as your preferred self-image. Then systematically violate that preference until it loses its power over you. Remember, the ultimate freedom is not having everything you prefer. The ultimate freedom is preferring nothing in particular while being able to work with everything in general. This is not a comfortable path, but comfort too is a preference that must be transcended on the way to mastery. Hesitation is death. Doubt is defeat. The warrior who stands frozen between two choices has already lost. The mind that circles endlessly around a decision has already failed. You must learn to cut quickly and move on. I have won battles against superior swordsmen, not because my technique was better, but because my decisions were faster. While they stood thinking about the perfect angle, the perfect timing, the perfect strategy, I simply cut. This is the secret that separates masters from mediocrity, the ability to decide swiftly and commit totally. Your modern world paralyzes you with options. Should you take this job or that one? Should you start this project or wait? Should you commit to this path or keep your options open? You think you're being wise by considering every angle. You are not. You are bleeding out your power through the 1,000 small wounds of indecision. Let me teach you the way of decisive action. First, understand that there is no such thing as a perfect decision. There is only the decision you make and how fully you commit to it. I have seen warriors choose the wrong technique but win because they committed to it totally. I have seen others choose the right technique but lose because they doubted their choice. The principle is this: better a swift wrong decision than a slow right one. Why? Because in the time you spend searching for the perfect choice, opportunities vanish, energy disperses, and power fades. Moreover, a swift wrong decision teaches you more than endless contemplation. When I fought, I never sought the perfect cut. I sought the cut that was available now. If it failed, I learned and cut again. If it succeeded, I moved on. This is the rhythm of mastery. Decide, act, learn, move forward. No hesitation, no looking back, no second guessing. Your task is to develop this decisive mind. Set time limits for all decisions. Small decisions get seconds. Medium decisions get minutes. Large decisions get hours or days, but never weeks or months. When the time is up, decide. This feels dangerous at first. Good. Safety is often the costume that paralysis wears. Learn to recognize the moment of enough information. More data after this point only feeds doubt. In battle, I needed to know only 3 things about an opponent: their weapon, their stance, and their eyes. Everything else was distraction. In your world, learn to identify the essential factors for each decision. Ignore everything else. Cut off the path of retreat. Once you decide, burn the bridges behind you. Delete the other options. Commit so fully that going back becomes impossible. This is not recklessness. It is the highest form of strategy. A warrior with no retreat fights differently than one who keeps options open. I once faced an opponent who had studied my style for years. He knew every technique I might use, every strategy I might employ, but while he stood there calculating probabilities, I simply cut. His knowledge became his prison. His analysis became his tomb. Understand this: momentum is more powerful than perfection. A flawed plan executed swiftly and adjusted as needed will accomplish more than a perfect plan that never begins. The universe rewards decisive action, not endless contemplation. This applies beyond combat. In business, be the first to act. In relationship, speak your truth quickly. In personal growth, start before you feel ready. The details will sort themselves out in motion. The path will become clear through action. The advanced practice is this: learn to love the moment of decision. Most fear it. They see every choice as a potential mistake, every decision as a possible failure. But the master knows that decisions are not endpoints. They are doorways. Each choice opens new possibilities, reveals new paths, creates new opportunities. Begin now. What decision have you been postponing? What choice have you been circling? Stop reading. Decide now. Not in 5 minutes. Not after more research. Now. Remember, the blade that hesitates gathers no power. The mind that doubts hits no targets. The life that waits for perfect conditions accomplishes nothing of significance. Cut quickly. Move on. This is the way of power. There is only now. The past is a ghost that cannot harm you. The future is a dream that cannot help you. All power, all possibility, all mastery exists in this single moment. This is the supreme truth that every warrior must understand. I have killed men who were living in the future, planning their victory celebrations while my blade was already in motion. I have defeated warriors who were living in the past, trying to avoid previous mistakes while making new ones. But I have never been defeated by someone fully present in the moment of combat. Your mind is a time traveler. It races forward to imagine consequences, jumps backward to remember failures, skips sideways to consider alternatives, all while the present moment, the only moment in which you can actually act, slips away unused, unmastered, unlived. This constant mental movement is not wisdom, it is weakness. It is a habit born of fear, fear of fully engaging with the raw reality of now. But understand this, every moment of mental time travel is a moment of power lost. Let me teach you how to dominate the present moment. First, you must understand what presence means. It is not relaxation. It is not peace. It is not some mystical state of enlightenment. Presence is pure, undivided attention. It is bringing your entire being, every sense, every cell, every fiber of awareness, to bear on what is happening right now. In battle, this presence meant total attention to every detail, the shift of weight in my opponent's foot, the tension in their shoulders, the look in their eyes, the position of their blade. Not thinking about these things, not analyzing these things, just seeing them, knowing them, responding to them. The practice begins with your body. Your body exists only in the present. It cannot time travel like your mind. Begin to notice physical sensations, the pressure of your feet against the ground, the movement of breath in your chest, the tension or ease in your muscles. These sensations anchor you in now. Deepen the practice. Whatever you are doing, do only that. If you are eating, eat. If you are walking, walk. If you are listening, listen. This sounds simple. It is not. Your mind will rebel. It will demand to plan, to remember, to analyze, to judge. Notice these demands. Do not fight them, but do not follow them either. I trained this way. When I practiced sword cuts, I only cut. When I sat in meditation, I only sat. When I ate my rice, I only ate. No reading while eating. No thinking about technique while cutting. No planning while meditating. This is how presence becomes power. Your modern world conspires against presence. It fragments your attention with notifications. It seduces you with multitasking. It convinces you that thinking about many things at once is clever. This is the path of perpetual weakness. The warrior's way is different. Total attention to what is, not what was, not what might be, not what should be, just what is, right here, right now. This attention itself is power. This presence itself is mastery. When you learn to bring your whole being into the present moment, everything changes. Time slows down. Details become clear. Options appear that were invisible before. Power flows naturally, without effort or strain. Once fought an opponent who was faster than me, stronger than me, better trained than me. But he was thinking about becoming famous by defeating me. He was thinking about the techniques he would use. He was thinking about how the battle would end. Meanwhile, I was simply there, fully present, responding to what was actually happening. His superior attributes meant nothing against the power of pure presence. The advanced practice is this: learn to love the present moment no matter what it contains. Pain or pleasure, victory or defeat, praise or blame, all are perfect opportunities to practice presence. When you can be fully present with whatever arises, you become truly unstoppable. Start now. Not after you finish reading, not after you've prepared yourself. Now, bring your attention fully into this moment. Notice what you're resisting. Notice what you're reaching for. Notice how your mind tries to escape into past or future. Remember, the past cannot be changed. The future cannot be controlled. But this moment, this eternal, ever-present now, this can be mastered. And in mastering it, you master all things. Your mind never stops talking. It chatters endlessly about the past, worries constantly about the future, comments ceaselessly on the present. This internal noise is not your friend. It is not wisdom. It is the greatest obstacle between you and true power. I have watched warriors die because they listened to their inner voice instead of seeing what was in front of them. This technique always works, the voice would say, even as their opponent adapted. I am not ready, it would whisper, even as opportunity opened before them. I must not fail, it would scream, even as failure became inevitable because of that very fear. Understand this: thought is a tool, not a master. Like a sword, it should rest in its sheath until needed, then be used decisively and return to rest. But your mind is like a drunk samurai, wildly swinging his sword at shadows, exhausting himself while accomplishing nothing. Let me teach you the way of mental silence. First, recognize that most of your thinking is useless repetition. The same fears played over and over, the same plans rehearsed endlessly, the same self-justifications repeated like a prayer. This is not problem-solving, this is mental addiction. In combat, I learned that thought is too slow. By the time you think about how to respond to an attack, you have already been cut. True mastery comes when action flows without the interference of internal dialogue. Your body knows what to do. Your training knows what to do. Thought only gets in the way. Begin. The practice here: listen to your internal dialogue without engaging with it. Don't try to stop it. Don't argue with it. Don't believe it. Just observe it. Notice how it constantly judges, compares, complains, and fears. Notice how rarely it says anything new or useful. The next step is to recognize that you are not this. Voice. You are the awareness that hears the voice. This distinction is crucial. The voice may say, I am not good enough, but you are the consciousness that notices this thought. The voice may say, I will fail, but you are the presence that watches this fear arise. I trained my mind to silence through fierce practice. When cutting with the sword, I would notice the internal dialogue. Is my angle correct? Am I moving fast enough? What will my opponent do? Each thought was a moment of disconnection from reality, a gap in my awareness through which defeat could enter. Your modern world worships thought. It praises endless analysis, constant planning, perpetual commentary. But this is the worship of chains, the reverence of limitation. True power lies beyond thought, in the realm of direct perception and immediate action. The deeper practice is this: learn to act without internal commentary. When you walk, just walk. When you eat, just eat. When you speak, just speak. Not in a state of dull unconsciousness, but in a state of pure awareness, unmarred by a mental chatter. This is not about becoming thoughtless. It is about becoming thought-free, able to think when thought is useful, able to be silent when silence is needed. The warrior's mind is like a clear sky. Thoughts may pass through like clouds, but they do not stay. They do not accumulate. They do not block the sun of awareness. I once faced an opponent who was known for his strategic brilliance. He had analyzed every possible scenario, planned for every contingency. But in our battle, his very intelligence became his weakness. While he thought about what might happen, I simply responded to what was happening. While he consulted his mental library of techniques, I cut without thought or hesitation. Your task now is this. Begin to create gaps in your internal dialogue. Short moments of pure awareness without mental commentary. These gaps are doorways to power. They are moments when reality can enter without distortion, when action can emerge without interference. Start with simple activities. Wash dishes without thinking about what you'll do next. Walk without planning your day. Listen without preparing your response. Each moment of pure awareness is a moment of true power. Remember, the quieter your mind becomes, the more you can hear. The less you think about power, the more powerful you become. The fewer words you use internally, the more clearly you can see what needs to be done. Silence is not empty. It is full of answers that thought could never find. Your emotions are like weather, constantly changing, utterly unreliable, and completely beyond your control. But your discipline must be like a mountain, unmovable, unshakable, and utterly indifferent to the storms that rage around it. This is the way of the warrior. I have seen great warriors fall not to superior technique, but to their own emotions. Anger makes them rush in blindly. Fear makes them hesitate at crucial moments. Pride makes them fight battles they should avoid. Joy makes them careless in victory. Each emotion becomes a chain that binds them, a weakness that defeats them. Understand this deeply. Emotions are not truth. They are not wisdom. They are not guidance. They are merely weather patterns in your internal landscape. Like clouds, they should be allowed to come and go without affecting your fundamental stability. The first principle is this: never act from emotion. Act from discipline. When anger says strike now, discipline says wait for the proper moment. When fear says run away, discipline says stand and face what comes. When pride says defend your honor, discipline says choose your battles wisely. In my years of combat, I learned that the warrior who fights with emotion fights at half strength. Their anger burns up their energy. Their fear paralyzes their movement. Their excitement ruins their timing. But the warrior who fights with discipline maintains full power regardless of their emotional state. Begin the practice here. First, learn to recognize emotions as they arise. Not after they have possessed you, not after they have driven you to action, but in the very moment they begin to form. This awareness is your first line of defense against emotional slavery. Then, learn to name these emotions without becoming them. Instead of I am angry, say anger is present. Instead of I am afraid, say fear is arising. This simple shift in language creates space between you and the emotion. In this space, discipline can take root. I trained this way. When fear arose, before battle, I acknowledged it, but did not let it direct my actions. When anger flared during combat, I noticed it, but did not let it control my sword. When pride swelled after victory, I observed it, but did not let it influence my next decision. Your modern world encourages emotional indulgence. It tells you to follow your heart, to trust your feelings, to be true to your emotions. This is the path of perpetual weakness. Emotions are too changeable to be trustworthy guides. They are too easily manipulated by circumstances to be reliable advisors. The warrior's way is different. Build your life on the bedrock of discipline, not the shifting sands of emotion. Let discipline decide when you wake, when you train, when you work, when you rest. Let discipline determine your responses, your commitments, your priorities. This does not mean becoming cold or unfeeling. It means becoming unshakable regardless of what you feel. The master can experience intense emotions while maintaining perfect discipline. Like a mountain containing a volcano, you can harbor great power within while maintaining perfect stability without. I once fought a warrior who had lost his brother the day before. His emotions were raw, his spirit turbulent. He fought with passionate fury and died because of it. His emotions, however justified, however powerful, made his movements predictable, his judgment clouded, his technique sloppy. The advanced practice is this: learn to use emotion without being used by it. Emotion can be fuel for action, but discipline must be the engine. Emotion can provide energy, but discipline must direct that energy. Emotion can deepen experience, but discipline must maintain control. Your task now is to build unshakable discipline in small things so it will be available in large things. Begin with basic daily practices. Wake at the same time, regardless of how you feel. Train regardless of your motivation. Work regardless of your mood. Keep your commitments regardless of your desires. Remember, emotions make excellent servants, but terrible masters. The warrior who subjugates discipline to emotion will be mastered by both. The warrior who subjugates emotion to discipline will be master of both. Start now. What emotion is currently present in you? Name it. Observe it. Then let discipline, not that emotion, decide your next action. This is the beginning of true power. There is a truth that modern minds refuse to accept. Mastery comes through repetition, not through variation, not through complexity, not through creativity, through repetition. Simple, endless, patient repetition. I have cut the same stroke 1,000 times. I have practiced the same footwork pattern until my feet bled. I have repeated the same movement until it became as natural as breathing. This is not the path that appeals to clever minds, but it is the only path that leads to true power. Understand this: your body does not learn through understanding, it learns through repetition. Your mind does not achieve mastery through knowledge, it achieves mastery through practice. Everything else is illusion. Let me teach you the way of deep practice. First, accept that boredom is the guardian of mastery. The mind that constantly seeks novelty, that always wants to move on to the next technique, that craves constant variation, this mind will never achieve depth. Embrace boredom. Welcome it. It is the sign that you are on the correct path. In my training, I would practice a single cut for months, not because I couldn't perform other techniques, but because I understood that true power comes from absolute mastery of fundamentals, not from collecting many superficial skills. Begin here. Choose one fundamental movement in your field, one basic technique, one core principle. Then commit to practicing it 10,000 times, not 9,000, not 9,999, 10,000. This number is not arbitrary. It represents the threshold where technique becomes nature. The practice must be mindful. Each repetition must be full. Each movement must be complete. This is not about going through motions. This is about pouring your entire being into each repetition as if it were the only one that mattered. I trained this way. Each morning before dawn, I would perform the same cut 1,000 times. Not quickly, to get it over with. Not mechanically, while thinking of other things. Each cut was performed as if my life depended on its perfection, because in real combat, it would. Your modern world despises repetition. It celebrates innovation, creativity, constant change. But understand this: all true innovation comes from a foundation of mastered fundamentals. All real creativity emerges from a core of perfected basics. All lasting change grows from deeply planted roots. The deeper practice is this: learn to love the repetition itself, not for what it will bring you, not for how it will transform you, but for what it is, the pure act of devoted practice, the simple ceremony of committed repetition. This is not just about physical techniques. The same principle applies to any skill you wish to master. Want to master public speaking? Give the same speech 1,000 times. Want to master writing? Write the same type of piece until your fingers bleed. Want to master business? Execute the same fundamental processes until they become unconscious. I once met a warrior who boasted of knowing 1,000 techniques. I defeated him with a single cut, one that I had practiced tens of thousands of times. His 1,000 shallow pools of knowledge could not match my one deep well of mastery. The advanced practice goes beyond physical. Repetition. It becomes mental repetition, emotional repetition, spiritual repetition. You repeat not just the movement, but the state of mind, the quality of attention, the purity of intention. Your task now is this. Choose what you will master. Not many things. One thing. Then begin your repetitions. Count them. Track them. Honor them. Let each repetition be a prayer, a meditation, a complete expression of your commitment to mastery. Remember, the master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried. But more importantly, the master has succeeded at the same basic action more times than the beginner can even imagine. The path is simple, but few will walk it. Choose. Repeat. Continue. Until the technique disappears and only mastery remains. Until the practice disappears and only power remains. Until you disappear and only the art remains. Death is not your enemy. Fear of death is your enemy. The warrior who has made peace with death becomes truly invincible. For what can threaten someone who has already embraced their own ending? I began each day of my life by dying. Before dawn, in the quiet darkness, I would meditate on my own death. Not in a morbid way, not with fear or anxiety, but with complete acceptance. This practice gave me freedom that most never know, the freedom of someone who has nothing left to lose. Understand this profound truth. Most of your limitations, most of your fears, most of your hesitations come from an unconscious clinging to life. You want to be safe. You want to be secure. You want to be certain. But these desires make you weak. They make you hesitate when you should act. They make you retreat when you should advance. Let me teach you the way of death practice. First, you must understand that this is not about becoming reckless or suicidal. It is about becoming fully alive by accepting the inevitability of death. The warrior who knows they will die today, tomorrow, or in 50 years, paradoxically becomes free to live completely. Begin the practice here. Each morning, before you start your day, sit quietly and imagine that this is your last day alive. Not as a fantasy, not as a game, but as a serious contemplation. What would change about how you move through the world? What fears would fall away? What petty concerns would disappear? I trained this way. Before each battle, I would accept my death so completely that I was already, in a sense, dead. This freed me to fight without reservation, to act without fear, to move without hesitation. My opponents, still clinging to life, would hesitate at crucial moments. That hesitation was their death. Your modern world runs from death. It hides death in hospitals, disguises it with euphemisms, pretends it can be indefinitely postponed through medicine and technology. This denial of death creates a society of half-living people, always running, always hiding, never fully engaging with the reality of existence. The deeper practice is this: let death be your advisor. Before making any important decision, ask yourself, if I were to die tomorrow, would this matter? This cuts through confusion like a sharp blade through silk. Suddenly, what is essential becomes clear. What is trivial falls away. When you truly practice death awareness, many things change. Petty grievances disappear. Why waste your limited time on anger? Procrastination vanishes. Why delay what might be your last chance? Fear of failure fades. What is failure compared to death? Purpose becomes clear. What do you want to leave behind? I once fought a warrior who was technically superior to me in every way, but he fought like someone who thought he would live forever. Each move was careful, conservative, designed to preserve his life. I fought like someone already dead, and therefore free to give everything. This made all the difference. The advanced practice goes beyond morning meditation. It becomes a constant awareness carried throughout the day. Every conversation might be your last. Every action might be your final legacy. Every moment might be the one that defines your entire existence. Your task now is this: Begin to live as if each day were both your first and your last. The first, so that everything is fresh, new, worth experiencing fully. The last, so that nothing is left undone, unsaid, unhonored. Remember these truths. Death gives life its meaning. Death gives courage its power. Death gives action its urgency. Death gives love its depth. Start now. Not tomorrow, for tomorrow is not guaranteed. Ask yourself, if this were your last day alive, what would you do differently? What would you do the same? What message would you leave? What mark would you make? Most importantly, understand this. The warrior who dies 1,000 times in practice can never be killed in battle. The person who faces death each morning can never be threatened by life. The soul that accepts its own ending becomes capable of endless beginnings. This is not dark teaching. This is the brightest teaching of all. For only in accepting death completely can you live completely. Only in embracing your ending can you be fully present for every moment of your journey. The world is too vast, too complex, too filled with distractions for any human to master it all. Those who try to embrace everything end up grasping nothing. The path to power lies not in expansion, but in reduction, not in addition, but in subtraction, not in complexity, but in ruthless simplification. I lived for years with nothing but my sword, my clothes, and my purpose, not because I could not afford more, but because I understood that possessions possess you. Every object you own demands attention. Every commitment you make drains energy. Every relationship you maintain requires focus. The warrior's path is the path of strategic reduction. Understand this. Your power is not proportional to what you can add to your life. It is proportional to what you can remove while maintaining effectiveness. Everything beyond that is dead weight that will drag you down in crucial moments. Let me teach you the art of reduction. First, examine your life as a battlefield commander examines his forces. Every possession, every commitment, every relationship, every activity, these are troops that require resources, attention, and energy to maintain. How many of these forces are actually advancing your purpose? How many are merely draining your strength? Begin the elimination here. Look at your physical space. Every object should either serve a vital purpose or be eliminated. Look at your schedule. Every activity should either move you toward mastery or be abandoned. Look at your relationships. Every connection should either elevate your spirit or be released. I trained this way. When studying the sword, I eliminated every weapon but one. When practicing techniques, I eliminated every movement that wasn't essential. When choosing battles, I eliminated every conflict that didn't serve my purpose. This constant reduction didn't weaken me, it concentrated my power. Your modern world celebrates abundance, accumulation, expansion. It tells you to do more, own more, be more. But this is the path of perpetual weakness. Every new addition divides your focus. Every new possession splits your energy. Every new commitment fragments your power. The deeper practice is this. Become ruthless in elimination, not just of physical things, but of mental and emotional clutter as well. Eliminate unnecessary thoughts. Eliminate useless worries. Eliminate redundant activities. Eliminate toxic relationships. Eliminate anything that doesn't serve your chosen purpose. This extends to all areas of life. In learning, study fewer subjects more deeply. In work, have fewer projects with greater focus. In relationships, maintain fewer connections with greater depth. In possessions, own fewer things of higher quality. In goals, pursue fewer objectives with greater intensity. I once met a warrior who carried every weapon he knew how to use, his back bent under their weight, his mind scattered among their possibilities. I carried one sword and defeated him with a single cut. His arsenal became his anchor, his options became his obstacles. The advanced practice goes beyond external reduction. It becomes internal simplification. Simplify your decision-making processes. Simplify your emotional responses. Simplify your daily routines. Simplify your measurement of success, Your task now is this. Begin a systematic reduction of your life. Start with your physical space. Eliminate half of what you own. Move to your schedule. Eliminate half of your commitments. Progress to your digital life. Eliminate half of your applications, subscriptions, and notifications. This will feel like loss at first. Your ego will resist. It will say, "But I might need this someday," or "But this makes me who I am." These are the voices of weakness justifying its attachments. The truth is simpler. You are not what you own. You are not what you do. You are not your possessions or your activities. Remember these principles of reduction. If it does not serve your purpose, it serves your defeat. If it does not strengthen your focus, it weakens your power. If it does not simplify your life, it complicates your path. If it does not elevate your spirit, it drags down your potential. Start now. Look around you. What can you eliminate today? What can you simplify immediately? What can you reduce this very moment? Each reduction is a step toward power. Each elimination is a move toward mastery. The final truth is this: the more you eliminate the inessential, the more clearly you can see what truly matters. The more you reduce external complexity, the more you can develop internal power. The more you narrow your world, the deeper you can go into the heart of mastery. This is not deprivation. This is concentration. This is not loss. This is focus. This is not sacrifice. This is power. The power of a river comes not from its width, but from its depth. When water spreads across flat land, it becomes a shallow marsh, weak, stagnant, ineffective. But when it channels through a narrow gorge, it carries enough force to cut through solid rock. This is the principle you must understand. Power comes through absolute focus on a single target. I have defeated armies not by fighting them all at once, but by destroying their strongest warrior first. I have mastered arts not by practicing them all equally, but by focusing entirely on one crucial technique. I have won battles not by having many strategies, but by executing one strategy perfectly. Understand this: the human mind was not designed for multitasking. It was designed for absolute focus on one thing at a time. When you try to attack multiple targets simultaneously, you don't multiply your effectiveness, you divide your power. Let me teach you the way of singular focus. First, you must select your target. Not 2 targets, not 3, 1. This choice is crucial. It will determine where you direct your life force. Choose something worthy of your complete attention. Choose something that, if mastered, will transform everything else. In combat, I learned this principle through blood and steel. When facing multiple opponents, the untrained warrior tries to watch them all at once, dividing his attention. This is the path to quick defeat. The master focuses entirely on one opponent, destroying them completely before moving to the next. Begin the practice here. Look at your current goals, projects, and ambitions. How many are you pursuing simultaneously? This is not a sign of capability. It is a confession of unfocused thinking. Choose one. Let it consume you. Let everything else fall away. I trained this way. When learning a new technique, I would practice nothing else for 100 days. Not because other techniques weren't important, but because I understood that mastery requires obsession. It requires the kind of focus that borders on madness. Your modern world celebrates multitasking. It praises those who can juggle many projects, manage many relationships, pursue many goals. But this is the celebration of weakness. The master is not the one who can handle many things adequately. The master is the one who can do one thing perfectly. The deeper practice is this: learn to say no. No to new opportunities. No to interesting distractions. No to good ideas that aren't great ideas. Every yes divides your power. Every commitment splits your focus. Every new project diminishes your chance of achieving mastery. This principle applies to all domains. In business, attack one market with total focus. In learning, master one skill completely. In creation, perfect one technique fully. In competition, destroy one opponent absolutely. In growth, transform one aspect entirely. I once watched a warrior practice 50 different sword techniques. He could perform them all adequately. I practiced one technique 50,000 times. When we fought, the difference was clear. His adequacy was no match for my mastery. The advanced practice goes beyond external focus. It becomes internal singularity, one dominant thought, one overwhelming purpose, one absolute priority, one unshakable commitment. Your task now is this. Choose your target. Make it specific. Make it clear. Make it singular. Then align everything in your life, your time, your energy, your resources, your relationships, toward destroying that. One target completely. This will feel uncomfortable. Your mind will generate endless reasons why you should hedge your bets, why you should keep your options open, why you should maintain multiple paths. Ignore these voices. They are the whispers of mediocrity. Remember these truths of singular focus. The warrior who chases two rabbits catches neither. The blade that cuts many things cuts none of them deeply. The mind that thinks of everything thinks, effectively, of nothing. The life that pursues many goals achieves none of them fully. Start now, not tomorrow. Not after you finish your current projects. Now. Look at everything you're pursuing. Choose one target. Let it be your obsession. Let it be your purpose. Let it be your entire world until it is completely mastered. This is not balance. This is not moderation. This is the way of power. This is the path of mastery. This is how legends are forged, through singular, absolute, unrelenting focus on one worthy target until nothing remains but victory. Most see resistance as an enemy to be avoided. They seek the path of least resistance, the easy way, the comfortable route. This is why they remain weak. The warrior understands a deeper truth. Resistance is not your enemy. It is your ally. Pain is not your opponent. It is your teacher. Difficulty is not your obstacle. It is your path. I have grown strongest not in moments of ease, but in moments of greatest resistance. Every wound taught me about healing. Every defeat taught me about victory. Every hardship taught me about strength. This is the secret that separates masters from mediocrity, the ability to turn resistance into power. Understand this. Comfort is a prison. Ease is a cage. The more you avoid resistance, the weaker you become. The more you seek comfort, the softer. You grow, but when you learn to use resistance as fuel, every obstacle becomes an opportunity. Every challenge becomes a chance to strengthen your focus. Let me teach you the way of transforming resistance. First, you must change your relationship with difficulty. Stop seeing it as something to avoid. Start seeing it as something to embrace. When you encounter resistance, whether physical, mental, or emotional, this is not a sign to retreat. This is a sign to advance. In my training, I sought out the most challenging conditions. I practiced in rain, in snow, in burning heat. I trained. When sick, when injured, when exhausted, not from machismo, but from understanding. The warrior who can maintain focus under difficulty becomes unstoppable under normal conditions. Begin here. Identify the resistances in your life, the hard tasks you avoid, the challenging conversations you postpone, the difficult practices you neglect. These are not your enemies. These are your training grounds. These are the forges where your focus will be strengthened. The practice starts with physical resistance. Train when you're tired. Work when you're unmotivated. Practice when you're uncomfortable. Advance when you want to retreat. I trained this way. When others sought shelter from storms, I practiced in them. When others rested during heat, I trained in it. When others waited for perfect conditions, I created strength from imperfect ones. Each resistance became a tool for sharpening focus. Your modern world worships convenience. It sells you comfort as an achievement. It presents ease as a virtue. But this is the path of perpetual weakness. True growth only comes through resistance. True focus only develops under pressure. The deeper practice moves beyond physical resistance to mental and emotional challenges. Use criticism to sharpen your Resolve use doubt to fuel your determination. Use failure to forge your focus. Use pain to purify your purpose. I once fought a warrior during a terrible storm. He complained about the rain, the wind, the mud. Each resistance fragmented his focus. I used the same conditions to heighten my awareness. The rain sharpened my senses. The wind strengthened my stance. The mud deepened my focus. I won before our swords even touched. The advanced practice is this. Learn to love resistance, not for what it will give you, not for how it will strengthen you. Love it for what it is, the only path to true power. When you can find joy in difficulty, peace in challenge, and focus in chaos, you have begun to understand the warrior's way. Your task now is this. Seek out resistance deliberately. Don't wait for it to find you. Create challenging conditions for your practice. Set impossible standards for your work. Push beyond your comfort in your training. Let each resistance be a blade that sharpens your focus. Remember these principles. The blade is sharpened by resistance. The muscle is strengthened by resistance. The mind is focused by resistance. The spirit is forged by resistance. Start now. Look at what you're avoiding. Look at what you're resisting. Look at what you're postponing because it's too difficult. That is exactly where you need to focus. That is exactly where your power will grow. This is the paradox of power. The more you embrace resistance, the less it can resist you. The more you welcome difficulty, the less difficult everything becomes. The more you seek out challenges, the more challenging you become to your opponents. Remember, resistance is not trying to stop you. It's trying to strengthen you. Pain is not trying to break you. It's trying to forge you. Difficulty is not trying to defeat you. It's trying to teach you what you're truly capable of becoming. Most warriors focus only on the strike. They think power lies in action, in movement, in doing. But the master knows a deeper truth. True power lies in the void between strikes, in the pause between actions, in the silence between words, in the space between thoughts. I have won battles not through superior technique, but through superior timing, not through more action, but through better understanding of inaction, not through what I did, but through what I did not do. This is the secret of rhythm that separates masters from mere technicians. Understand this. Every action contains its opposite. Every strike contains a pause. Every advance contains a retreat. Every creation contains destruction. The warrior who understands only action understands only half of power. The warrior who masters the void between actions masters complete power. Let me teach you the way of strategic void. First, you must understand that all power moves in cycles. Like breathing, inhale, exhale. Like waves, rise, fall. Like the heart, contract, expand. In combat, this means understanding that the space between strikes is not empty waiting. It is loaded preparation. In my duels, I learned that the warrior who rushes from action to action eventually exhausts himself. The warrior who fills every moment with movement eventually loses his rhythm. But the warrior who knows how to rest in the void between actions maintains perpetual power. Begin the practice here. In whatever you do, become conscious of the spaces between actions. When you speak, notice the pauses between words. When you move, notice the stillness between movements. When you work, notice the gaps between efforts. These are not empty spaces, they are power spaces. I trained this way. For every hour of practicing strikes, I spent an hour practicing the spaces between strikes. For every technique I learned the void that preceded and followed it. This is not meditation. It is the study of rhythm, timing, and power. Your modern world fears void. It rushes to fill every silence with noise, every space with activity, every moment with production. But this constant action is the mark of weakness. True power knows when to act and, more importantly, when to rest in powerful stillness. The deeper practice is this. Learn to make your pauses as purposeful as your actions. Learn to make your silence as powerful as your words. Learn to make your stillness as effective as your movement. This principle applies to all domains. In conversation, the power of the unsaid. In strategy, the power of the unmade move. In creation, the power of the unfilled space. In conflict, the power of the unutilized force. In leadership, the power of the ungiven command. I once fought a warrior who was faster than me, stronger than me, more technically skilled than me, but he knew nothing. A void. He filled every moment with action, every space with technique. I defeated him by mastering the spaces between his actions. While he exhausted himself with constant movement, I gathered power in stillness. The advanced practice goes beyond physical void to mental and spiritual void. Learn to rest in the space between thoughts. Learn to draw strength from the pause between decisions. Learn to find clarity in the gap between plans. Learn to gather power in the silence between words. Your task now is this: begin to study the voids in your life as carefully as you study the actions. Notice the rhythms that naturally exist in everything you do. Notice how power gathers in spaces that seem empty to the untrained eye. This will feel strange at first. Your mind will want to fill every space, use every moment, act in every situation. Resist this urge. Learn to recognize when void is more powerful than action, when stillness is more effective than movement, when silence is more impactful than words. Remember these principles of void. The bow is useful because of its empty space. The room is useful because of its empty space. The vessel is useful because of its empty space. The warrior is powerful because of their empty space. Start now. In whatever you're doing, become aware of the spaces between actions. Don't rush to fill them. Don't try to eliminate them. Study them. Master them. Learn to use them as sources of power. This is not inaction. This is not laziness. This is the highest form of strategy. Understanding that power flows not just through what you do, but through what you don't do. Not just through your presence, but through your absence. Not just through your action, but through your void. Remember, the strike that follows perfect void has perfect power. The word that follows perfect silence has perfect impact. The action that follows perfect stillness has perfect effect. The untrained mind is like an unarmored warrior, vulnerable to every attack, susceptible to every distraction, exposed to every weakness. But ritual is the armor that protects your focus, the shield that guards your purpose, the fortress that preserves your power. I did not just train with the sword. I created ceremonies around it. Every morning began with the same sequence of actions. Every practice followed the same sacred pattern. Every battle was preceded by the same internal rites. These were not mere habits or routines. They were armor for my mind, protection for my focus. Understand this: in a world of chaos and uncertainty, ritual creates islands of order and clarity. In a life of constant change and challenge, ceremony provides anchors of stability and strength. The warrior who masters ritual masters their own mind. Let me teach you the way of protective ritual. First, you must understand that ritual is not superstition. It is not empty tradition. It is not mindless repetition. True ritual is conscious ceremony that prepares your mind for battle, your spirit for challenge, your focus for action. In my life as a warrior, I learned that the mind is most vulnerable. At transitions, waking to sleeping, peace to combat, preparation to action, ritual bridges these gaps. It creates smooth passages where the mind could otherwise stumble and scatter. Begin the practice here. Create a morning ritual that armors your mind for the day ahead, not a rushed routine of checking messages and reacting to the world. A true ceremony that centers your being and focuses your purpose. Elements of the warrior's morning ritual. Wake before the sun. Purify the body with cold water. Sit in perfect stillness. Breathe with perfect attention. Move with perfect form. Focus on perfect. Purpose, I trained this way. Every action in my morning ceremony was performed with full awareness. Every movement was given complete attention. Every breath was taken with total presence. This was not about efficiency, it was about creating unshakable mental armor. Your modern world devalues ritual. It prizes spontaneity, celebrates improvisation, worships flexibility. But this constant adaptation comes at a cost. A mind that never fully settles, a focus that never fully deepens, a power that never fully develops. The deeper practice is this: extend ritual beyond the morning. Create ceremonies for every significant transition in your day. Before beginning work, before entering conflict, before making decisions, before engaging with others, before ending the day. Once faced a warrior who laughed at my pre-battle rituals. He called them wasteful, time-consuming, unnecessary. But when combat began, the difference was clear. His mind was scattered, reactive, unprepared. My mind was centered, focused, armored by ceremony. The advanced practice goes beyond external ritual to internal ceremony. Rituals of thought, specific, ways to process information. Rituals of emotion, specific ways to handle feelings. Rituals of decision, specific ways to make choices. Rituals of response, specific ways to meet challenges. Your task now is this: begin building your system of protective rituals. Start with one ceremony, your morning ritual. Perfect it, master it. Let it become armor for your mind, protection for your focus, foundation for your power. Elements of effective ritual. Precise sequence. Each action follows a specific order. Perfect attention. Each movement receives complete focus. Pure intention. Each gesture carries specific purpose. Protected space. Each ceremony has its sacred time and place. This will feel artificial at first. Your mind will resist the discipline of ceremony. Your ego will question the need for ritual. Your habits will fight against new patterns. This resistance is precisely why ritual is necessary. Remember these principles. Ritual creates order in chaos. Ritual builds focus in distraction. Ritual maintains power in weakness. Ritual preserves purpose in confusion. Start now. Design your first warrior ritual. Make it simple but significant. Make it practical but profound. Make it personal but powerful. Then practice it with perfect attention until it becomes living armor for your mind. This is not about creating rigid routines. This is about forging ceremonial shields that protect your most valuable asset, your focused mind. This is not about limiting spontaneity. This is about creating foundations so strong that true spontaneity becomes possible. Remember, the warrior without ritual is like a soldier without armor, vulnerable to every attack, susceptible to every distraction, exposed to every weakness. But the warrior who masters ritual becomes invulnerable where it matters most, in the mind. There comes a moment in the warrior's journey when something profound shifts. You no longer use the sword. You are the sword. You no longer practice focus. You are focus. You no longer seek power. You are power. This is the final transformation, the ultimate realization, the supreme achievement of the warrior's path. I discovered this truth not through philosophy, but through blood and steel. After decades of training, after thousands of battles, after endless refinement, the distinction between warrior and weapon disappeared. There was no more separation between intention and action, between mind and movement, between self and purpose. Understand this. As long as you see power as something external to yourself, a technique to master, a state to achieve, a goal to reach, you remain divided. True power emerges only when this division dissolves, when you become what you seek. Let me teach you the way of ultimate transformation. First, you must understand that this is not metaphor. This is not philosophy. This is practical truth. When the archer becomes the bow, their arrows never miss. When the painter becomes the brush, their art transforms. When the warrior becomes the blade, their victory is assured. In my final battles, I no longer thought about technique or strategy. I no longer planned or calculated. Action emerged spontaneously from a place of pure being. This is what the old masters meant when they spoke of no mind, not mindlessness, but a state beyond the division of self and action. Begin the practice here. Stop trying to be powerful. Stop trying to be focused. Stop trying to be masterful. These efforts only reinforce the division between you and what you seek. Instead, let every practice be a dissolution of this false separation. I trained this way. Each cut was not an action I performed, but an expression of what I had become. Each movement was not a technique I executed, but a manifestation of my true nature. This is not mysticism. It is the highest form of practicality. Your modern world keeps you fragmented. It makes you think you are separate from your work, separate from your purpose, separate from your power. But this separation is illusion. The master knows you are not the one who seeks mastery. You are mastery seeking to recognize itself. The deeper practice is this. In everything you do, dissolve the distinction between doer and deed. In work, become the work itself. In practice, become the practice itself. In combat, become the combat itself. In creation, become the creation itself. I once fought a warrior who had mastered 1,000 techniques, but he remained separate from his mastery, always choosing, always calculating, always trying. I had become my technique. There was no choice, no calculation, no effort. There was only pure expression of what I had become. The advanced practice goes beyond physical transformation. Become the silence you seek. Become the focus you desire. Become the power you pursue. Become the mastery you chase. Your task now is this. Begin to dissolve the artificial boundaries between you and your purpose. Stop seeing power as something to attain. Stop seeing focus as something to achieve. Stop seeing mastery as something to reach. Let yourself become what you have always been. This will seem impossible at first. Your mind will resist this dissolution. Your ego will fight to maintain its imagined separation. Your habits will try to preserve the familiar division. This resistance is the final test, the last barrier between you and true power. Remember these truths. The highest power is not something you have, it's something you are. The deepest focus is not something you do, it's something you become. The ultimate mastery is not something you achieve, it's something you recognize. Start now. In whatever you're doing, stop trying to do it well. Instead, let yourself become it entirely. Let the distinction between you and your action dissolve. Let the separation between you and your purpose disappear. This is not about becoming something different. It is about recognizing what you already are. This is not about adding something to yourself. It is about removing the illusion of separation that keeps you from your true power. The final truth is this. You are not on a journey to become powerful. You are power itself, learning to recognize its own nature. You are not seeking focus. You are focus itself, remembering its own essence. You are not pursuing mastery. You are mastery itself, awakening to its own reality. This is the end of seeking. This is the end of effort. This is the end of the path, not because you have arrived somewhere new, but because you have finally recognized where you have always been. Remember, the ultimate technique is no technique. The ultimate power is no power. The ultimate self is no self. There is only the pure expression of what you have always been. The blade that cuts through illusion, the focus that penetrates reality, the power that transforms everything it touches.